Hi everyone, this is Chris Frederick with the Stretch to Win Institute, and I'm really excited to be here because every once in a while I like to interview a graduate from the Stretch to Win Institute, and the reason is I get some incredible stories of all kinds of things that should be told, stories that should be told because they're inspiring and they're just incredible. And it's about their training in fascial stretch therapy and how our graduates use it on their clients. So today, I'm very excited to say that we have one of my graduates, Paula Reid, and one of her clients is here with us, Leah, and they're spending their time with us today to tell their story. So here we go. Without further ado, hello, Paula. Hello, Leah. Welcome.
Hello. Hi, Chris.
So Paula, I think maybe we'll just start with you. We know your name. What level are you certified in fascial stretch therapy?
I am a fascial stretch specialist.
Okay.
So level three.
Level three. Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go right forward. Do you have an interesting story for us here? And if so, just briefly summarize it, and then maybe, we'll turn it over to Leah whenever you guys are ready.
Okay. I met Leah about a little over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. She works at one of the studios that I work at, the social club in Bimbrook, and does training, teachers training, all that kind of stuff, and does a lot of group classes. And she had previously done some FST, and she was talking to me there. It's convenient, and we decided to do some stretch. And she was suffering a lot of back pain, a lot of stiffness. And as you know, when you're working in this kind of field, you really do have to keep yourself, on your toes, and you're constantly moving. So it was a big issue for her to have to work as much as she did with as much physical exertion and be in pain all the time. So,
Okay. So maybe Leah, would you be interested in telling us a little bit about this? I'm interested in, did you ever get a diagnosis of either a disc
Yes.
problem or, okay.
Yes, I have arthritis in my hips, osteoarthritis down my entire spine, and degenerative discs in the cervical and lumbar
Oh, you're
spine.
too young for that.
Yep.
Is this osteo or rheumatoid?
um, I have regular arthritis in my hips plus cysts inside the joints,
Wow.
and it's osteo in my spine. And my blood levels for rheumatoid are a 12. A positive is a 14.
Okay. So you're
Yeah.
just underneath that.
Yeah.
But for the osteo, is there any reason like lifestyle, like athlete or skater or something that would create early arthritis, or is it in the family?
Nope, nobody in my family has arthritis. I've always been into sports since I was a kid. I was 13 when I started really working out and started lifting weights at 13. Just extremely active, and I was diagnosed in my early 20s with arthritis, and even my doctor really didn't know why.
Did you ever try a nutritional approach to see if anything's
Yes.
missing there?
Yep.
she's probably
Yes.
one of the healthiest eaters I've ever met in my entire life.
So you did the nutritional approach before you met Paula?
Yes. Yep.
Wow. So
And
that only did you get any effect from that, or?
tons of relief.
You
I
did?
very rarely will have arthritic joint pain, like the aching and the throbbing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So you think
Yeah.
that's mostly from the dietary or
Um,
nutritional?
I think it's a combination of everything.
Because I know you've always been fit. That didn't change. So it's really, unless you did specific things for your hips,
No,
exercise wise or movement wise. Before you met
no. I
Paula.
would say out of everything, the FST has probably saved me.
Okay, so that's what I'm interested in. So you did the nutrition, but it wasn't 100%. Well, it wasn't where it is now with the FST. The combination really made a difference, right?
Yeah.
So let's call it a plateau or a limit. You had a limit of benefit. It was good. You made a lot of progress on the nutrition before
Yeah.
FST.
Yeah.
I'd like to know, what did FST do to change things? Because it sounds like you maximized the nutritional benefits in terms
Yes.
of, right, getting the feeling good, your hips are better, probably decrease inflammation, all those kinds of things.
Yes. Yep.
So what did FST do that was left over, let's say,
Um,
from
I
that?
think because, well, with my training, the FST for my hips keeps keeps them loose, where my joints are loose, lengthened my muscle, especially my right side of my body. My right side is shorter than the left side.
Okay.
So Paula will be able to tell you what she does to me to keep my legs the same length. My spine is much more flexible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any change on X-ray at all?
No change on X-rays. It has not gotten any worse.
Yeah. It's interesting. You don't really have to have a change on X-ray to mean that you're not better. Of course you're better. And people will often feel better, and when they get a new X-ray, it doesn't show any change, which probably shows that a lot of the discomfort is not really where you see it. Even though you don't see change, it's probably because the soft tissue, which you can't see on an X-ray, is moving better, and that helps bones move better.
Yeah, sure.
So all the pain or discomfort is not necessarily from that quote bad X-ray that hasn't changed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, look at how many times people will go to the doctor. They'll have X-rays. They'll have tons of testing, and the doctor will say, "Well, there's nothing wrong. You're totally fine." Yet they're walking away with all these pains and aches and debilitating sometimes to get up in the morning. And so all of a sudden now there's FST or there's other treatment options, and all of a sudden people are feeling better. And when there's not a reason that doesn't show on an X-ray, then usually it's fascial, right? It's fascial restrictions and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, it can be. And you're one of the rare people I actually did a lot of nutritional solution, because I always turn people towards that stone that's unturned, not turned over and looked under. People don't think of that. More and more today they are, but they used to not think of that at all. And I find that that's a big component of it if they've tried everything.
Yeah, and for me, like I said, it's a combination. And I remember it was actually 3 years ago when I had first heard about FST. And I remember, because I was afraid with everything that was wrong with my joints and my spine, I hesitate doing therapies. So I really looked into it before I did my first session with FST. And I started doing it once a week. Mm-hmm. I'd like to continue doing it once a week. Lately, been pressed for time. But I like to do it like once a week or once every 2 weeks.
So it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you had maximized your strength and whatever flexibility you did before you met Paula. You maximized or optimized your nutrition to whatever extent you could. You still hit a plateau. You still had limitations in your hips.
Yes.
Did you have any? What was actually left that Paul helped you with in terms of pain and function? Like, could you still squat all the way down, or did you have limits with your ability?
No, I can, and this is why sometimes I'm baffled at how I can still do things. My range of motion, it depends. Sometimes is limited. And that's why I like to keep up with the FST, so I'm not limited with my range of motion. For me, it's a big difference in my range of motion.
Did it affect your life in a negative way, though, that you noticed it? Oh, it did. Okay, that's important.
Beforehand, did it affect?
Before you saw Paula.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The pain, there are days that I can't walk or couldn't walk just by moving my right side.
Yeah.
And it saved me.
So since you're fit, I'm sure you tried to stretch yourself and do things. What's the difference between stretching yourself, which obviously didn't work, and someone who's an expert or a specialist like Paula stretching you, where you're just laying on the table, strapped down in a nice way, and expertly taken through these ranges? What's because people think, oh, I can just stretch myself. What do I need someone to stretch? It
doesn't even compare. Right. It doesn't compare. Paula knows my body. She knows my injuries. She knows exactly what to do. I mean, I can't do a hip opener. I mean, I can do a hip opener, but not the same way Paula can do it.
Right. Well, all your postural muscles are turned off, essentially. You're laying there, and if she wants you to activate, you activate. And if you don't activate, you just lie there. And so there's all these ranges of, inactivation, activation of the muscle. There's so many things going on that Paula can feel and immediately switch and immediately change that. And you're in a kind of a zone, I would imagine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm always tired. I could take a long nap after FST.
Mm-hmm. Has besides range of motion, has it changed anything else? Strength, balance, coordination, anything?
Balance, absolutely. My right leg is shorter than my left leg. And that's something that I can't physically stretch out on my own. So Paula will sometimes just work on the right side to make sure my legs are the same length. So that's definitely helps with the balance.
Which is actually stability. Because people say stretching messes up your stability, and they're not understanding all the aspects of stretching. Because if they balance out your legs, you have better stability. You can fire your gluteus medius on the right. You can hold that leg, strong and be a stable one-leg stance to do things.
Yeah. It was really funny when we experimented a little while to try and fine-tune the stretch, and it was really interesting. So I asked her Leah's permission if she was willing to try and experiment as far as really tractioning the shorter leg and less traction on the other leg to see if we could balance some things out. And so she was game. It took a few weeks, but the first time that we did it and she got up off the table and started walking, she felt unbalanced because she's not used to the balance or her body actually being in tune. And I think it took a few weeks for it to settle in, but it definitely made such a huge difference. I remember getting a text from her, and one of the things is, wow, I feel amazing still. It's carried on a lot longer.
Exactly, and I'll start to notice, and I'll say to you too, like I'm starting to lean. And what happens, because I also have scoliosis, but I compensate on the wrong leg. I lean on the longer leg. Mm-hmm. So I'll text Paula and I'll say, okay, I'm starting to like shift again. So, she knows to get that leg going.
Yeah. Just to play around. There's always going to be a bit of a discrepancy, but less of now.
Yeah.
Right. Well, listen, believe it or not, we ran out of time. I could always come back and do longer interviews, but Facebook only takes 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, that's, a lot of people have ADD, so that's good. I think we got a lot of really cool information. I was really enthralled by what you were saying. It's amazing that you can make that kind of a comeback. And, people think they could just live with the rest of it. They've tried everything. And they maybe not have tried everything. And I think you're going to give people hope that hear this. Because there are people, similar to your circumstance that are still pretty young and they have these arthritic conditions. So it's nice to know that they do have some hope. So thanks so much.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think it benefits a lot of people. A lot of people.
Well, I really appreciate it.
You don't have to have an injury to do it. Like, I feel amazing after I get off the table.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you, Paula, Certified Fascial Stretch Specialist in Toronto, Canada, Ontario, Canada, and Leah, her client. Thank you so much for your time today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And for everyone else listening, thanks for listening and for tuning to the Stretch to Win Institute and our stories about fascial stretch therapy. Till next time, ta-ta.